Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the classic tale of Hansel and Gretel. But we aren't just looking at the fairy tale. We are treating this as a real-world survival case study to extract some absolutely vital safety lessons. When you actually look past the folklore elements, what we have here is a literal masterclass in situational awareness, recognizing deception, and keeping your wits about you in incredibly dangerous scenarios. So whether you're a parent looking for a rock-solid way to teach your kids about stranger danger, or you're a kid learning how to be your own first responder, pay close attention, because this right here, this is your definitive safety guide.
Okay, here is the agenda for our survival breakdown. 1. A survival case study. 2. Navigation and getting lost. 3. The candy house trap. 4. Dealing with strangers. 5. Outsmarting the enemy. And 6. Escaping to safety. Let's get right into it. Section 1. A survival case study. Analyzing a worst-case scenario.
Our source material details how, after their father and stepmother completely vanished under the guise of a family hike, night fell, and the woods started echoing with the horrifying sounds of wild wolves. Now, it would be so easy to panic here, right? It is utterly terrifying to be isolated in a loud, unfamiliar environment the second the sun goes down. But instead of running blindly into the dark and risking a serious injury or getting even more lost, Hansel and Gretel just shivered by the fireside and waited. They stayed exactly where they were until moonrise. Kids, if you ever find yourself lost or separated from your adults, doing exactly what Hansel and Gretel did here is step number 1. Stop, stay put, hug a tree. Do not run blindly into the dark. Waiting for better visibility or for a search party to find you is the absolute foundation of wilderness survival.
Section 2. Navigation and getting lost. The importance of reliable trails.
Now check out the stark contrast here between a foolproof safety tactic and a really disastrous one. The very first time they were abandoned, Hansel had prepared. He actually snuck out the night before and filled his pockets with solid reflective pebbles. By dropping them along the path they shone brightly in the moonlight, they were totally immune to the environment, and the kids walked safely home. It was brilliant, unchangeable navigation. But his stepmother caught on. The next time, she locked their door at night, preventing Hansel from gathering stones. So, forced to adapt on the fly, he used breadcrumbs from his lunch. The huge problem here? He didn't account for the environment. Breadcrumbs are tasty, and the forest birds quickly ate his entire trail. The big safety rule? If you're making a plan to get to safety, you have to rely on things that do not change. Never leave your safety up to chance, or, a flock of hungry birds. Because those birds ate that fragile trail, these terrified kids wandered the forest for 3 agonizing days. 3 days! They were hopelessly lost, completely out of food, and honestly, scared to death. And here's the thing. When you wander aimlessly for 3 days without any sustenance, something really dangerous happens to your body. Physical exhaustion completely clouds your judgment. Your critical thinking skills just plummet. When you are that hungry and that tired, you literally stop looking for red flags. You become uniquely vulnerable, which perfectly sets the stage for the psychological manipulation in our next major safety lesson.
Section 3. The candy house trap. Recognizing deception.
After following a snow-white bird with his beautiful voice, the exhausted children arrived at this bizarre structure. I want you to really think about the psychology of the architect here. The builder of this house knew exactly who they were targeting: starving, desperate children. Parents and kids, traps today don't usually look like candy houses, right? They look like someone offering free puppies, or video game currency, or maybe an adult asking for help finding a lost pet. If a situation looks like the exact thing you want most, your caution alarms need to ring loudly. When you're deeply vulnerable, a trap won't look like danger, it's going to look like the exact thing you need. Hansel and Gretel completely forgot how tired they were, they forgot their caution, and they ran straight to it, ready to take a bite.
Section 4. Dealing with strangers. The illusion of safety.
Hearing this deceptively sweet voice from a seemingly cute old lady, the exhausted kids made a critical error. They trusted her and went inside. When she appeared at the door, she acted perfectly harmless. She listened to their sad story, she feigned all this deep sympathy, and she invited them right into her warm home. Guys, this is the textbook definition of luring. The threat didn't present itself as a snarling monster. It presented itself as a sweet, caring figure offering help. We have to remember that dangerous people rarely act scary at first. They act like your best friend. They act safe.
You really have to ask yourself this question. Because as Hansel and Gretel learned the hard way, the answer is a resounding no. Once they got inside, the house was dark, it was scary, and it just didn't feel right.
Kids, listen to me closely on this one. Your body has a built-in alarm system. If your tummy feels weird or your heart beats fast around a stranger, even if they're offering you your absolute favorite things in the world, trust that feeling. Walk away. Hansel and Gretel had a gut feeling that something was totally off, but because she offered them mountains of food and the softest beds they'd ever seen, they silenced their instincts. Just look at this chilling contrast between the illusion and the reality they woke up to the next morning. The sweet old lady, actually an evil witch. The soft beds and endless food, replaced by being locked in a cage and forced to cook. The safe haven they thought they found was actually a scary dungeon. The illusion completely shattered, revealing that this witch intended to make a literal pie out of Hansel. In survival and safety training, we teach a golden rule. Never, ever let anyone take you to a secondary location. Once a door is locked behind you, your options shrink to zero. You must always resist being moved from an open, public area to a private, enclosed space.
Section 5. Outsmarting the enemy. Using your wits.
So, locked in a cage, Hansel obviously couldn't rely on physical strength to overpower a grown adult. He had to use his brain. The witch's plan was simple: fatten Hansel up to eat him. But Hansel flipped the script. Every single night while the witch slept, he dug a hole in the dirt floor of his cage. When the witch checked on him, he made sure he hadn't eaten anything, and he buried all those lavish meals in the dirt to fake being skinny. By controlling the information the witch received, basically making her believe he simply wasn't gaining any weight, he stalled her execution plan for days. And by buying time, Hansel wasn't just delaying the inevitable. He was giving himself and Gretel time to observe her routines, wait for a critical mistake, and form a coordinated escape plan. Stalling is a brilliantly effective survival tactic.
Section 6. Escaping to safety, taking decisive action.
Eventually, though, the witch lost her patience. She was tired of waiting for Hansel to get fat, so she decided to bake him anyway. And she ordered Gretel to look in the oven to see if the dough was ready. Gretel knew exactly what was about to happen. The witch fully intended to shove her in. So what did she do? She played totally dumb. She whined, complaining she couldn't figure out how to get her head in there. The arrogant witch, believing Gretel was just this foolish child, pushed her aside and stuck her own head in to demonstrate. And at that precise moment, Gretel gathered all her strength, shoved the witch deep into the oven, and slammed that heavy iron door shut. Kids, Gretel shows us that when a stranger tries to harm you, the rules of being polite go completely out the window. You are allowed to fight back, you are allowed to trick them, and you do whatever it takes to get away.
Tracking their escape timeline, we see them act fast. Gretel immediately grabbed the witch's keys and freed her brother. Notice they didn't just panic and run blind. They actually secured resources first, filling their pockets with gold and diamonds from the witch's hoard before the house burned down. As they fled into the deeper woods, they hit a massive river. But instead of giving up, they adapted to the new obstacle, utilizing a giant swan to safely cross the water one by one. This is the ultimate improvisational survival skill, adapting to your terrain. And ultimately, it paid off. They found their way home to a father who had realized his horrible mistake and whose wicked wife had, conveniently, already departed. Okay, so in this bizarrely humorous twist from our source material, surviving a terrifying witch attack is apparently the perfect time to spontaneously break into the ABC song. Yeah, right after recounting this super intense tale of survival, betrayal, and flaming ovens, the source material just joyfully erupts into an alphabet sing-along. It's kind of funny, but honestly, it's a great reminder that surviving trauma doesn't mean you lose your joy. Despite all the grim circumstances they navigated, they are, at their core, still resilient kids who get to go back to being kids now that the threat is entirely neutralized. All right, let's bring it all together. Here's your ultimate safety guide checklist. Parents and kids, keep these rules front of mind. Rule 1, never wander alone in unknown areas. 2, always have a reliable, unchangeable way to navigate, because breadcrumbs just won't cut it. 3, do not trust strangers, especially those using treats, games, or favors to lure you. Always remember that dangerous people often act like nice friends. And 4, if you are ever trapped, stay calm, work together, trust your gut, and look for a clever moment to escape. You are never entirely powerless.
I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. Parents, use the story to start a real conversation tonight. Are you prepared to outsmart the unexpected? The woods are full of unknowns, and sometimes the most dangerous things come disguised as something incredibly sweet. Thank you for walking through this explainer with me today. Remember to always stay sharp, stay aware, and whatever you do, never let anyone lure you into the candy house.